Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the second day of our e-learning international conference. So just as a quick recap of yesterday's events, the meeting started with an opening prayer by the Protestant chaplain, Reverend Dr. J.W. Echampong. The moderator then welcomed all dignitaries and participants and invited the Director of E-Learning, Professor Eric Apewa-Sante, to explain the purpose of the conference and the expected outputs. He stated that the KNUST E-Learning Center has a core mandate to advance education in the digital spaces, and that following last year's theme on education without borders, a way was paid for the continuing efforts to e-learning through instrumental collaboration and partnerships. Pardon me. He explained that this year's theme on fostering excellence in e-learning across diverse disciplines, focusing on progress, challenges, and prospects, seeks to engage all stakeholders in developing the e-learning initiative, as this conference presents a dynamic platform to engage participants and to advance e-learning initiatives globally, fostering advocacy in e-learning trends, and raising awareness of the transformative potentials that align with KNUST and the e-learning center's goals. He outlined the expected outputs of this conference as follows. 1, a vibrant collaborative effort. 2, translations of discussions and insights into actionable plans and outcomes. 3, renewing commitment to breaking barriers to education and enhancing learning. 4, fostering inclusivity and sustainability in education. And 5, strengthening partnerships. 6, encouraging and supporting student-led innovation in digital learning spaces. Professor Sante also mentioned the awards that will be given to persons in the following categories. 1, e-learning educator, which will be recognized in each college for using e-learning to enhance teaching and learning. 2, students who have shown exceptional dedication and performance in using e-learning. 3, e-learning educator award for a retired academic staff for exceptional dedication to using e-learning. 4, lifetime achievement for staff who have contributed substantially to e-learning at the university. And then 5, e-learning administrator for leadership and dedication to e-learning initiatives. He ended by urging all participants to come on board and share experiences and expertise to use our collective wisdom to impact the world through e-learning. Then the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Rita Akosua-Dixon, expressed appreciation to all stakeholders for their participation and emphasized that the e-learning international conference is a great opportunity for collaboration to improve the enormous e-learning ecosystem. She acknowledged the progress made over the years and stated that educators are responsible for collaborating and innovating while using e-learning tools to improve inclusivity. She further stated that KNUST is committed to supporting e-learning and needs continuous professional training on emerging trends in e-learning for KNUST staff. She called for a commitment to the vision of excellence in e-learning through collaboration and innovation, and for us to be pioneers in redefining education in the digital age. She ended by commending the planning committee chaired by Dr. Kwejo Boachi-Bwedu for their hard work and declared the KNUST E-Learning International Conference officially opened. For the keynote address, Professor Colin Rodden, the Secretary General and the Chief Executive of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, ACU, expressed the ACU's commitment to education within the Commonwealth. ACU has 13 member institutions in Ghana on projects for blended learning and students and staff mobility, climate change and adaptation, and peace and reconciliation projects. ACU is committed to digital transformation and supports member universities in digital technologies to improve the digital capability of their staff. He stated that a strategic approach, including partnerships and collaborations, will be needed to achieve excellence in e-learning with a long-term global views at all levels. Regarding the challenges of e-learning, Prof. Radin advised institutions to be intentionally competitive on a global scale and move fast in adapting to the rapidly changing digital world. He noted the need to overcome the challenges of lack of digital skills, infrastructure and equipment, behavior change, and the high development cost. Regarding opportunities, he noted that there are improved efficiencies and capacity through blended learning, which can result in inclusivity and widened participation because of lowered costs and broken geographical barriers. He tasked institutions to create strategies for excellence using a long-term approach, develop digital design and resources from the ground up, manage behavior change of staff, and upgrade technology, upskill staff through training programs, and open for international collaborations. He then shared some case studies from the Partnership for Enhanced and Blended Learning and concluded that staff development is crucial. He emphasized that future success would require a co-creation approach by governments, institutions, and universities, and the civil society by winning stakeholders' hearts, establishing infrastructure, employing an all-through approach from primary to beyond tertiary, monitoring and evaluation, and then providing quality assurance. He concluded that institutions must be realistic and pragmatic in setting achievable aims while being patient. The fourth speaker for the morning, Honorable Reverend John Intim Forjo, the Deputy Minister of Education in Ghana, spoke on technology integration in education, exploring the seamless integration of digital tools and technologies across diverse academic disciplines. He said that the Ghana government aims to produce or provide quality education for all learners by leveraging technology to deploy learning to all, especially the deprived and underserved areas. He mentioned that as the African Union has declared 2024 as a year of education with the mantra, educate the African child in the 21st century, there was the need for a strategic approach through the 3 C's. The first C is capacity, where digital literacy should be actual competence and not simply a course to be passed. The second C is connectivity, through which SHS institutions now have access to learning digitally. And the third C, content, with SENDLOS leading the charge to create content and make it available for access on digital devices and platforms. He concluded that the Ministry of Education looks forward to key outcomes from the conference, and that will provide guidelines and policies needed to scale up the level of demand for education in the country. After a brief interlude, Phil Batty, the Chief Global Officer of Times Higher Education, gave a presentation on the role of digitization in higher education ranking. He applauded KNUST's contributions to digital education and explained the introduction of a new ranking system that is focused on online learning provisions that emphasize access, inclusion, and accountability. He explained that the metrics were built on 4 pillars: resources, engagement, outcomes, and environment, and expressed excitement about the new rankings and their potential impact. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Rita Akosia-Dixon, then officially inaugurated the exhibitions and poster presentations by cutting the ceremonial ribbon. We had a panel discussion chaired by Professor Ahmed Japon, and they discussed the global outlook for online learning from 3 different speakers. The first speaker, Mr. Emmanuel Adeniyi, the ACU's Regional Engagement Lead for Africa, mentioned how universities worldwide are embracing the impact of digital learning. He suggested leveraging radio and text messages to bridge identified gaps in e-learning. Mr. Edmond Alangdong, the head of policy from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, explained how GTEC embraces many e-learning strategies and hopes to complete the adoption of e-learning by the end of this year. He mentioned that GTEC is interested in ensuring online courses are suitable and quality assurance measures are followed. Professor Frederick Atto Ahmad, the Director of Research and Programs at the Association of African Universities, mentioned how universities are tailored to specific content and concluded that challenges like access to electricity, quality of online learning, culture, and financial issues must be solved in the quest for advancing the agenda of e-learning. There was then a presentation by our special guest, Avi Warshawski, founder and CEO of Mindset EdTech Innovation Center, and a member of the board of directors of the Center for Educational Technology. He spoke on the topic, Educating AI, Unleashing the AI Potential to Create a Change in Education. He noted that the three most discussed topics in the intersection of AI and education include false information, replacement of the teacher, and teaching. He reiterated some of the challenges in adopting e-learning, including culture, financial limitations, and the high cost of internet data, and how to mitigate their effects by exploring new technologies to narrow the gaps. With the parallel sessions, there were 4 of them under 4 different sub-themes. So the first sub-theme was on Israeli innovations, and the chairperson was Francisca Ofori Indinya. The session, opened by Mr. Yaniv and Mr. Ernest Gava, aimed to engage participants with the presented startups and encourage collaboration. The focus was on presenting innovative edtech solutions designed to enhance learning experiences and address various educational challenges. So the first one was Mindset EdTech Innovation Center. Avi Warshawski, founder and CEO, highlighted the center's mission to accelerate education technology startups through a 3-pronged approach. 1, starting small. 2, thinking big. And 3, scaling fast. He emphasized the importance of individual user engagement, conference participation, and rapid scaling for successful development. Then there was Globisense, and so Mr. Dovey, representing Globisense, presented their STEM-focused initiative aimed to attract students towards science and technology and maths through engaging technology. They demonstrated how their solutions transform the classroom experience, showcased devices designed to enhance learning, and cited positive impact on STEM education in Tel Aviv. Zach Isako presented CodeMonkey, which is a platform that systematically introduces coding education into schools. They emphasized their goal of making coding a mainstream subject, providing teacher and student resources through their platform. They have interactive games, learning plans, and solutions to cater for various learning levels. They highlighted their platform's ability to support teachers without prior coding experiences. Mr. Mike showcased the MikeTran platform, a software solution enabling students to create their own AI games and invent them in virtual and physical environments. They highlighted their focus on low-cost scrap-based robots already implemented in India and demonstrated how their platform facilitates learning programming languages like Python. They emphasized their unique ability to train AI models and virtual reality experiences. Blender is a startup focused on leveraging online courses to deliver high-quality content to students regardless of location. Their presentation highlighted the user-friendly interface of their platform and its ability to facilitate virtual learning experiences. Then there was Plingo Platform, an AI-powered platform that assists students in learning English as a second language. They showcased their game-based approach to learning. The platform allows users to adjust game complexity based on English proficiency. And they incorporate audio features and interactive graphics to enhance engagement. They demonstrated how their platform uses AI to go beyond basic language understanding and provide a deeper level of learning support. Then we had the sub-theme 2. That was on emerging trends and inclusivity in e-learning. It was shared by Professor Anthony Andrews. There were 3 presentations at this session. The first presented on future prospects of artificial intelligence in higher education, the educator's perspective from a digitally challenged context. The speaker spoke about how AI has revolutionized education, along with the associated dystopia of using AI. Therefore, he called for stakeholders to discuss how AI will likely change education in the future. The second presentation was on online learning, intersectionality, and K-12 student experiences. The speaker spoke about some educational institutions' transition to online learning during COVID. The objectives were to identify included organizational structures and educational policies and practices that shape online schools and the possibilities for disrupting inequality related to school discipline, attendance tracking, and participation. The third speaker, Dr. Abiana Sumeniwa Entry, MD for Africa Environmental Sanitation Consult from the Jospon Group of Companies, spoke on industry and innovation, focusing on the use of e-technologies and digital tools in industry. She gave a brief profile of the Jospon Group of Companies, whose mission is to improve lives through their various IT tools and business solutions. Then there was sub-theme 3 that was focused on policy, leadership, and professional development. This session was chaired by Prof. Winston Abrampa and started with opening remarks from the chair about the continued policy-making structures. There was a guest presentation by Mr. Lawrence Sapon, Deputy Registrar of Operations at the National Teaching Council. He spoke on teacher professional development, addressing the importance of training educators to create and implement inclusive digital learning strategies. He stressed that the role of the National Teaching Council is to ensure that every teacher is a professional and that it becomes important for teachers to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn in order to stay relevant in the fast-changing environment we live in. He urged all stakeholders to give extra support to teachers to help them overcome the challenges of high cost, wrong perceptions and mindsets, wide literacy gaps, low motivation, and personal limitations. The second presentation was on linking proprietors' intellectual leadership to sustaining teaching performance, the roles of teachers, intellectual agility, and workplace innovation climate. The speaker urged intellectual leaders to focus on mentorship as a way of shaping teaching to help improve their performance, because although the teacher performance is inseparable from prevailing environment factors, intellectual agility is a key enabling factor in shaping performance. The third presentation was on navigating the landscape of policy and regulatory standards in e-learning in Ghana. And the speaker explained how COVID-19 pandemic necessitated an online move in education, paving the way for universities to take initiatives to promote e-learning. He noted that the benefits include accessibility, flexibility, cost-effectiveness, and diverse learning resources. He stressed on the need for educators to use innovative technologies and pedagogies, online presence, gamification, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence to sustain student engagement and enhance the overall learning experience. The fourth presentation was on resources availability and accessibility as determinants of e-learning utilization in selected Nigerian universities. The speaker stressed how the advancement of IT and associated tools, which both educators and learners can easily access, have made it imperative to utilize e-learning facilities in the 21st century. The fifth presentation was on impact and influence of social media and AI tools use for educational performance and e-learning in Jigawa State College of Education. The speaker emphasized how social media and AI tools have revolutionized various aspects of education and introduced the constructive learning theory and the technology acceptance model. He stressed that ethical considerations and the need for digital literacy are crucial for the successful implementation of e-learning. Then the last theme, the sub-theme 4, was on digitalization across disciplines and sectors. The chairperson, Dr. Rogers, welcomed attendees to the parallel session and highlighted the conference's theme of fostering excellence across diverse disciplines and critical role of innovation in addressing current and future challenges. Dr. Rogers encouraged active participation and collaboration, setting a positive and engaging tone for the event. The first one was on digital transformation in education, challenges, effectiveness, and perceptions of computer-assisted instruction application in the physics classroom. The presentation explored the effectiveness and challenges of computer-assisted instruction in physics classrooms, emphasizing the importance of technological infrastructure and ongoing research. The second was on the role of social media in driving preventive education in Nigeria during a global pandemic. The research analyzed how platforms like Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook played crucial roles in spreading COVID-19 preventive measures in Nigeria, stressing the need for engaging and regionally tailored content. The third was on enhancing student engagement in online lecture streaming platforms through real-time quizzes. And the research proposed an AI-driven real-time quiz system to increase student engagement in online lectures, showing promising results in improving comprehension and retention. The fourth was on revolutionizing the language learning experience, a case study of virtual reality. This research discussed VR as an alternative to traditional year-abroad programs, highlighting its potential to offer language learning experiences. The fifth was on the role of podcasts in Norwegian legal education, insights from Jazz and Jazz. This research showcased the Jazz and Jazz podcast as a tool for enhancing legal education through engaging discussions and accessible content, and aimed at deepening students' understanding beyond the rote memorization of laws. Then the last was on the digital transformation in the health sector, lessons from the MasterCard Health Collaborative Project. Professor Wilberforce Owusu-Ansah from the Africa Higher Education Health Collaborative Project in KNUST presented the MasterCard Health Collaboration Project, their successes in addressing skills mismatches, enhancing frontline worker capacity, and promoting health entrepreneurship through digital tools. He noted that the key pillars of the project were health employment, health entrepreneurship, and health services. Then we had the poster presentations and exhibitions. They showcased a vibrant landscape of innovative projects and initiatives to transform education through digital technology, from addressing challenges in teacher training with the e-portal system in Ghana, and to exploring potentials of virtual reality in engineering education. The presentations highlighted the transformative power of digital tools in enhancing learning experiences and equipping individuals with essential skills for the 21st century. Several presentations underscore the growing importance of digital literacy for sustainable development, with Dylan Harold Abaka's presentation outlining KNUST's initiative to transition from a paper-based administrative model to a smart technology-driven e-learning ecosystem. They also explored integrating digital tools into traditional disciplines like art, as exemplified by the KNUST's Level 200 figure painting class, which embraced digital painting techniques to provide a safer and more accessible learning experience. Further, the exhibition showcased various software solutions designed to address critical challenges in the e-learning sector. OneConnect, for instance, presented its solutions for improving teacher training, expanding reach, and generating revenue for institutions. The poster presentations also shed light on crucial aspects of teacher professional development and the need for improvements in Nigeria's vocational education and training systems, highlighting the importance of effective training programs for equipping individuals with the skills needed to succeed in the evolving job market. And that was about the conclusion for yesterday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Linda Barney. That was an excellent, comprehensive recap of yesterday's program. Another round of applause for her. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to introduce some few dignitaries in our midst, in no particular order. We have Professor E.A. Jackson, Director, Jackson Education Complex. Please give us a wave if you're here. Thank you very much. Professor Edward Appiah of NACA, Director General. Please give us a wave. Thank you so much. Dr. Kwadwo Boakye, Chair for Planning Committee of this conference. Can we see you? I'm sure he's somewhere at the back. We have Dr. Samuel Awuku, Key Advisor Leadership from TITL, Ghana. Thank you for coming, Dr. Awuku. We have Professor Colin Rodan, General Secretary, ACU. Thank you, Prof. We have Professor Asante, Director, e-learning. We have Mr. Adeniyi Emmanuel, Regional Engagement Coordinator of ACU. Please give us a wave. Thank you so much. And then we have the following people from Cordell University of Education, Winneba. Please, let's welcome them. Professor Frimpong Ketre Duku, Professor Jones Appel. Thank you, Mr. Jerry Addickson. Please, let's clap for them. Mr. Francis Amoning. Okay, Mr. John K. Otu. Thank you. And then we have Mr. Humphrey Puffer, Head, Cordell. TD, Cordell. Thank you very much. A round of applause for all these personalities. We appreciate your presence. And as Dr. Linda Banner said, there are 3 C's that we learned yesterday: capacity, connectivity, and then content. KNUST, we've demonstrated that we have the capacity, and so we're going to prove connectivity by having a virtual presentation from Dr. Aras Boskat, who is going to deliver his content on the topic, Generative AI in the Educational Landscape, the Hypes and Promises. A short profile of Dr. Aras Boskat. He's a researcher and faculty member at Anadolu University with MA and PhD degrees in distance education. His work focuses on empirical studies in distance education, online learning, network learning, educational technology, social network analysis, sentiment analysis, and data mining. Dr. Boskat's studies also covers the integration of artificial intelligence technologies into educational processes in the access of human-machine interactions. His dedication to advancing the fields of e-learning and education in general is reflected in his editorial roles as the editor-in-chief of Open Process, an Asian Journal of Distance Education, as well as his roles as an associate editor for prestigious journals like Higher Education Research and Development, Online Learning, eLearn Magazine, and Computer Applications in Engineering Education. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, with a round of applause, let's welcome Dr. Aras Boskat to deliver his content.
I think it is time to start, right? Let me share my screen. Hello, everyone. First of all, I'm really happy to attend your conference at Ghana. And I also would like to thank Frank, to my friend, for making my participation possible. Today, I will make a presentation entitled Generative AI in the Education Landscape, the Hypes and Promises. Let me briefly introduce myself. I am an associate professor of distance education at Anadolu University, Turkey. Indeed, I want to give you a good news on the occasion of this event. Let's take predictions. What do you think that has changed in my life? Frank, do you have an idea or anybody? What can this change be? On November 30, 2022, a very sweet baby was born, but this baby is not only my baby, but all of us, we named it generative AI, and today we will talk about generative AI. First of all, let's start with the question, why generative AI in education? To find the answer to this question, we need to compare past and present. Generative AI was able to understand human language and produce content about 2 years ago, but now it sees, hears, and speaks. Therefore, it can communicate, and communication and interaction is the most important social material in education. The content it produces is not limited to text. It also produces audio content as well as text, and it produces visuals such as graphics as well as visuals such as film and animation. And what we have seen so far is the trailer of the film. The film itself indeed promises more. At the end of the day, an advanced technology that will enable social communication and interaction is now with us. Here, I would like to draw attention to the distinction between robots that have physical presence and bots that can communicate and interact through an interface. Although we are only talking about bots for now, robots will soon find their place in the AI equation, and this adventure will become more exciting. The emergence of generative artificial intelligence, which emerged at the end of 2022, made a lot of noise in about 2 years. Following its emergence, Bill Gates tells us that the age of artificial intelligence has officially begun. According to the Gates, there will be artificial intelligence in almost every aspect of our lives, including education, and therefore we should talk, reflect, and discuss this technology today to take the right steps and in the future. And this talk is indeed one of the steps to be better prepared for an AI-dominated future. During my presentation, how I approach to generative AI. Indeed, Marshall McLuhan interprets technology as an extension that increases human capacity, and I interpret AI as an extension of human cognition, and therefore a technology that will increase humans' information processing capacity. And I share my experiences with you from this perspective. In fact, throughout this presentation, we will answer 3 main questions: what, why, and how questions together on the axis of generative AI. Humans have always been fascinated by the idea of machines that can think like humans. In the age of AI, the age of AI has begun, but first, let's go back a little and follow the footsteps of the idea of AI in the past. According to some technology thinkers, the age of artificial intelligence has already begun, and we are actually experiencing this process at the end of the first quarter of the 2000. However, human beings have always been fascinated by the idea of machines imitating their own intelligence, and contrary to the popular belief, this goes back to centuries. In line with this idea, different research, sometimes scientific and sometimes fictional, can be mentioned throughout history. From the works of Rene Descartes to popular movies such as Terminator, AI featured in our narratives many times. An interesting point in this quest is that Although the word artificial evokes negative connotations, the concept of artificial intelligence evokes positive connotations. While mankind is developing narratives that always end badly with AI, as in the movies like Terminator, humans also make a lot of effort to develop this technology. Therefore, sometimes I wonder if we are creating our own executioner and falling in love with the executioner we have created. Despite the developments mentioned earlier, one of the most significant turning points in the tangible sense of AI was the invention of ENIAC in 1945. The first computer was metaphorically called a giant electronic brain, and this comparison can be thought of not just for processing power, but as a brain where AI could come to life, operate, and algorithmically think. So humanity's 3,000-year-long fictional and conceptual pursuit ended in 1945 with the coining of the concept of artificial intelligence, and the invention of computer and rapid developments have taken place up to present day. In the 20th century, AI began to take on a more serious tone. In 1950, Alan Turing published a paper entitled Computing Machinery and Intelligence, in which he proposed the Turing test, a test of machines' ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of a human. The Turing test is indeed still used today as a benchmark for AI. Some of these ideas, most of them conceptual or fictional, have gone beyond science fiction stories. For example, Isaac Asimov, one of my favorites, men in that area, introduced the 3 laws of robotics, which explains the human-machine relationships. If this is the case, what is artificial intelligence, and when this concept first appeared, and how was it defined? The concept of artificial intelligence was first proposed in 1955 by John McCarthy and his colleagues. In their proposal, it is assumed that learning or intelligence, as we know, can be imitated by a machine, and this is referred to be AI. More recently, another definition was proposed by the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and it was also adopted by OECD and European Union member states. This definition, the definition provided by the UNICEF is more comprehensive, and it doesn't merely rely on data. It identifies the role of humans and systems that operate autonomously, and those that appear to operate autonomously, then puts an emphasis on interactions with humans, which is further useful in terms of framing AI technologies in the educational landscape. When it comes to defining generative AI, it is a technology that uses neural networks to identify the patterns and structures within existing data to generate new and original content. In short, generative AI doesn't only predict based on algorithms and models, it also generates, and the raw material it uses is the language we use to communicate. Our second question explores the question of why. Now, let's engage in a mental exercise. I will pose you a question aloud, but I want you to answer it silently. What is the most sophisticated technology ever invented by humans? Even though your answers will be silent, I can guess the responses from here. Some of you will give answers like invention of the wheel of fire, and some of you will give answers like the invention of digital technologies like computer and internet. However, the cornerstone of all these technologies is language. it's not merely a means of communication, it is the technology that has shaped civilizations. Language indeed encodes our socio-cultural DNA, influencing every aspect of human development. Throughout history, technologies utilizing language have been major turning points. These include the invention of writing, which enabled the symbolic processing of language, the printing press, which facilitated dissemination of knowledge more widely and rapidly, and the creation of computers, which were capable of processing binary language. Unlike from generic AI, generative AI has the potential to master human language, one of the most complex and sophisticated technologies ever created, and to use human knowledge to identify patterns, and this may allude to human perception. When properly trained, generative AI is a powerful tool that can learn, unlearn, and relearn language, which allows it to adapt and evolve with the human communication needs. Every new technology, including generative AI, brings some opportunities and challenges. In order to emphasize this situation, the economist depicted generative AI as both an angel and a devil on its cover. We can better understand the answer to this question of whether generative AI is an angel or devil by looking at the opportunities and challenges provided us. In fact, many opportunities can be mentioned, but I think the efficiency it gives us and the fact that it's always accessible is very important. However, we generally talk about personalized learning, adaptive learning, and I feel that these opportunities kind of cliche words with every emerging technologies. But the challenges that characterize him as the devil are significant, and there is a need for special focus to look at these challenges. For instance, algorithmic bias, reliability of the knowledge sources, inequality and inequity in access to such technologies, lack of creativity, privacy and ethics concerns, technical complexity and dependence on technology can be considered as the challenges provided us with generative AI. All in all, opportunities and challenges coexist. Perhaps the question is not whether AI should be introduced into education, but rather how, when, by whom, and for what purposes AI should be used in education. Looking back to history of education, developments in education have always been accompanied by advancements in science and technology. However, it is human agency that has led to educational development, not any technology. Therefore, we can argue that what we get in the speculative future will depend on how we perceive these technologies and position them with care and intention in the educational landscape. The second stage of our presentation focuses on the question of how and how it can be used in the educational processes. Currently, some argue that AI is getting pretty good at imitating human language. However, it is essential to note that it is still echoing what is learned, not truly understanding it. This means what it produces is synthetic. It is crafting new pieces from what it has been fed, not creating from the scratch or understanding like we do. Why does this matter? As we explore the world of open educational resources and practices, we are starting to blend human-made, in other words, organic, and AI-generated, that is, synthetic content. This mix raises big questions. How do we use technology responsibly? How do we ensure the quality and authenticity of what we are learning and teaching? As we blend AI with open educational resources, indeed, we are on the edge of a revolution. Imagine a world where educators don't write textbooks, but instead craft prompts that guide AI in creating interactive learning conversations. This could not only make education more engaging, but also bridge the gap between exclusive, paid-for materials and open, accessible resources. But this new frontier comes with challenges. How do we harness AI to enhance education while keeping the human touch? Generative AI is not about technology, it is about partnership. As it learns to speak our language, we are prompted to think deeper about the content it creates, whether it's from us humans or from AI itself. This isn't just about who is creating the information, but it is also about how we are working together to do it. This era of collaboration is exciting, but now we are entering a new phase where AI doesn't just process information for us, it creates it alongside us. This blurs the line between human-generated and AI-generated content, making AI a co-creator in our educational knowledge ecosystem. What does this mean for us? It means we need to rethink creativity, ownership, and wisdom in the digital age. AI is becoming an integral part of how we learn and understand the world, raising important questions about authorship and the value of machine-created versus human-created knowledge. Imagine creating something amazing, but no one can claim it. That's where we are at with AI-generated content currently. Current copyright laws say if a human didn't make it, it cannot be protected. This means anything generative AI creates could technically belong to everyone from the get-go. But it is not that simple. Indeed, this is a chance for free-to-use educational materials, as in the case of OERs and more broadly OEP. Yet, questions about authorship are open to further debates. After all, if only humans can legally own their creations, where does that leave AI's work, especially when the work is built on human-made content to begin with? This creates a bit of a puzzle. AI is learning from stuff that already exists, so who really owns the new things it makes? It is a gray area that is sparking a lot of debates, especially when we think about using AI to create learning materials. That's what I believe that. That's why what I believe that it is a conversation that is just beginning, and it is one we will need to explore carefully as we move forward in this exciting journey with generative AI. The question on everyone's mind is that, can generative AI be credited as a co-author? It is a hot topic. On one side, some say yes, crediting AI as a co-author for its contributions, but others argue that a technology without conscience cannot be credited as an author. The consensus is that AI shouldn't be listed as a co-author. Why? Because authorship comes with responsibilities like accountability for what's written and the ability to stand by your work. Besides, generative AI cannot take responsibility or participate in the intellectual discourse that follows the publication. So while AI revolutionizing how we create, the debate on its role in the authorship stresses the need for clear guidelines to recognize human effort and accountability. Academic integrity is the backbone of all scholarly work, grounded in 6 key values: honesty, trust, fairness, respect, responsibility, and courage. It is what keeps the academic world ethical and trustworthy. But here's the thing. With AI in the mix, maintaining honesty and trust in education is more challenging and crucial than ever. AI can be a tool for learning or a temptation for shortcutting. Balancing its benefits with ethical use is our next big challenge. How do we do that? My suggestion would be being transparent about AI's role in our works. Indeed, transparency is key. Whether AI help us brainstorm, write, or analyze, we need to be clear about where its work ends and ours begins. This isn't about this isn't just about honesty. It is about ensuring that our work remains meaningful and original. To address this issue, I propose the academic integrity and transparency in AI's research and specification framework for acknowledging and disclosing the use of generative AI in scholarly writing and to maintain academic integrity, transparency, and ethics. In this framework, key is to ensure that final human oversight and ethical responsibility remain central. This framework encourages a balanced acknowledgement of AI's role, which fosters integrity and transparency in academic writing. I would like to continue by saying, how should we prepare for an AI-dominated future? I would like to draw your attention to two crucial concepts. The first one is prompt engineering, and the second one is generative AI literacy. The first concept that answers the how question is generative AI literacy. Along with generative AI technologies, using these technologies effectively and having AI literacy has emerged as an important skill. Artificial intelligence literacy is not only about skills for effective technology use, but it is also about knowing and understanding AI, using and applying it, evaluating and creating it, and to have a good understanding of ethical cases. Considering that generative AI cannot read human thoughts, clear and well-structured prompts are essential for facilitating accurate and meaningful generative AI responses. And the second significant focus is therefore prompt engineering. In this context, one of the important skills is the ability to use and implement effectively, and this requires the concept of prompt engineering to be taken into account seriously. Prompt engineering is an increasingly important skill set required to communicate effectively with large language models such as ChatGPT, Gemini, or other generative AI technologies. Because the results of open-ended prompts can be uncertain, structured prompts that accurately describe what is desired and how it is desired are important for getting the desired outputs. A small change or a different word choice in the prompt shows that fine workmanship is required in text-based prompts to get really quality outputs from generative AI. In this context, in order for both general users, educators, and students to use generative AI technologies effectively and efficiently, having basic prompt engineering skills are considered as a necessary skill for the meaningful adaptation of generative AI tools to learning and teaching processes. At this point, I would like to introduce the prompt engineering for generative AI framework. We can assume that prompts as the wishes in the story of Aladdin's magic lamp, and the genie coming out of the Aladdin's magic lamp as a generative AI. Hopefully, you know that story. It's a story known in Turkey and many European countries. The difference from the story is that there is no limit to the number of the wishes, but you must give the prompts that is your wishes purposefully. With this approach, the four letters of the word generative in the name of the frame are arranged as I, and genie as is referred to the genie coming out of the magic lamp. This framework consists of 10 principles that you should be aware and 15 strategies that you should implement. If you are interested with the topic, you can explore this publication. In all, we are not only transitioning into the age of AI, but we are also witnessing the emergence of the AI empowered semantic web, commonly known as Web 3.0. During such times, new technologies like generative AI can be disruptive and, in some cases, scary. These technologies possess their own strengths and limitations, but it is crucial to remember that they will improve over time, and many of their limitations may disappear even before we even realize them. In the face of it, we can neither disregard, resist, nor deny the presence of generative AI-driven conversational agents. The capacity for these agents to employ human language and communication and interaction implies there is an inevitable paradigm shift. There are instances where generative AI has been criticized for generating superficial or false information and not living up to initial expectations. However, it is important to acknowledge that this limitation is not exclusive to AI, as humans are also fallible and imperfect. It would be naive to expect these technologies to be error-free. The ongoing discourse on AI brings to mind an old song. Many of us heard this song with the introduction of television and later computers, internet, and smart mobile tools present us with a familiar tune. These technologies didn't deceive or fool us. Rather, they significantly contributed to the human progress and accelerated the rate at which knowledge doubled. Presently, the song remains unchanged, but the technology has evolved and the pace of the technology song has quickened. At this point, what we need to do is genuinely listen to the song and creatively adapt our dance moves to harmonize with the melody. This killer technology will undoubtedly have a profound impact on not only our ways of teaching and learning, but also the ways we think. As we continue to explore the possibilities of generative AI in education, it is really critical that we maintain a critical and reflective stance, carefully considering the promises and challenges associated with this technology. While this slide implies I am nearly at the end of my presentation, indeed, this discussion marks just the beginning of our journey into the possibilities of generative AI in education. We aim to deepen our understanding and encourage continuous research and dialogue. Our objective is to utilize generative AI both responsibly and creatively to foster a more inclusive and innovative educational landscape. Now, here is the critical question for the future of education. How will we position generative AI in the educational landscape? Will it remain a supplementary tool, or will it evolve into a central technology in our educational systems? The decisions we make today whether we see AI as a mere tool or as a key component will undoubtedly shape the future. As a final word, please be aware that generative AI will not replace humans or human teachers, but those who use generative AI well will replace those who do not. Thank you for being here and listening to me. While this slide implies the end of the presentation, it doesn't imply the end of this conversation. So please feel free to communicate for further conversations.
Very much, Dr. Aras Baskat. A summary, he said, technology is an extension of humans. Whilst the human spirit lies in the body, artificial intelligence lies in computers. On behalf of KNUST, we want to extend our sincere thanks for the insight shared. Once again, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much. We are grateful. We want to acknowledge some of our sponsors. We have OneConnect, Republic Bank, St. Louis, Multinet Enterprise, and DISAP, ProData, Bell Aqua, Fortinet, ASIP Limited, Twillion Industrial Company Limited, University Printing Press, AgriConnect, and MasterCard Foundation. A round of applause for them. We are grateful for your sponsorship. Next on our program, we're going to invite some students to do a presentation on e-learning initiatives. So they are from the MasterCard Foundation. With a round of applause, please let's invite our students from the MasterCard Foundation. A round of applause, please. They are not here yet, so let's give it up for them.
Yo, Sarah. Yo, Sarah, change the channel, make always something better, like you're very important. What is this?
Oh, Daddy, don't say that.
Oh, forget. Forget about e-learning and their deceit. What are they telling us at all? I remember quite in our time, we have better quality times with our tutors. We can sit them physical, we learn things from them. And what are we seeing these days, talking about e-learning, you see students fooling on internet, exposing their private parts. We're not getting implemented for that. It's showing educational system.
Oh, Daddy, do you know something? Do you know how e-learning is advancing itself?
Oh, it's not true.
Daddy, let me tell you something. Now, we have virtual class that some of our teachers used to engage us in class.
Oh, forget about that.
Where we do have class on Zoom and other video conferencing tools.
Oh, like.
Daddy, let me tell you something. Those who are shy are able to contribute effectively in
class.
Statement,
just get everyone prepared for school. Forget about all these things. I don't need them. Forget.
Oh, Daddy. Good morning, madam.
Sorry for coming to class late. In fact, I was caught in a huge traffic, and what also created a mess for me. I hope you guys had no problem. Anyway, take your book. Let's begin today's lesson. Sammy, what are you busy doing? Take your book.
Madam, please, I'm sorry. I went to visit a friend. I don't know if I've left my book there.
Sarah,
Yes, madam.
I'm telling your friend to take his book, and then for God knows what you're doing on that phone.
Please, madam, I have all your notes on my tablet.
You have my notes on your tablet.
Yes, please.
You know the energy and the rest of that it caused me to do this handout. And you're telling me that you have my handout on your phone.
Please, it's technology.
Tech what?
Technology.
You know, let's end today's lesson. See you some other time.
Okay.
So now, ladies and gentlemen, we all bear witness to how frustrated and challenged the tutor was. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we all bear witness to how frustrated and challenged the tutor was. But now, thanks to e-learning, teaching and learning is stress-free. When I say stress-free, what do I mean by that? E-learning has made education much friendlier and flexible. As it has less impact on the environment, one can then be in the comfort of his or her home and still get access to online courses being taught. The inculcation of e-learning into our educational system has helped transform our traditional classroom setting into a virtual realm. With this, all manner of learners can then get access to online courses synchronously and asynchronously. E-learning has then come to stay, as you no longer use technology, but rather we live technology.
Next slide, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can see there are still misconception and also inadequate about e-learning out there. So it is up to you and I to go out there as ambassadors to educate the public what is going on. Next slide. So we can help the initiatives of MasterCard and the government to come into reality. Someone asked, how are you going to do that? So we're going to do that by improving their online learning capabilities and also to help them develop high-quality online courses and also train faculty in online teaching method. Not only that, also provide a virtual support to students. Someone will ask, then how are you going to go by it as ambassadors? We are going to go by this as ambassadors by one, using multimedia tools that we have, such as Zoom, and also using collaborative tools such as Google Docs, and so having interactive presentation tools like our PowerPoint. And also, we can also go about this by using some skills obtained from the training you have gained, by some insights from e-learning experts, like we have our prof over here, and also using practical tools and framework. Not only that, also collaborating with our colleagues and experts that we know.
How then do I brand myself as an e-learning ambassador? Based on the training that was gained during the training, I can also help. Next slide, please. By exploring more on the e-learning materials already introduced. Doing this will make you know other features that wasn't covered during the training, and also to know other e-learning tools that will equip our studies in order to advocate for e-learning. Because as an ambassador, we are promoters of e-learning. Also, by attending e-learning workshops, just like the conference that we've attended here, we've gained more knowledge and things about e-learning that we didn't know initially. And this, as an ambassadors, we can also advocate when we attend different places. Also, help decks and teaching of e-learning best practices. You cannot be ambassador just like obtaining the knowledge and sitting down idle doing nothing. But then avail yourself to teach others who are in the dark and know nothing about e-learning will help you to enlighten the technological world. As we say, the world is no more in a dark stage, but that we are zooming into technology world. So as an e-learning ambassador, with these three things, I can promote e-learning and also advocate for it. Thank you.
Please, next slide. All right, so as nursing students, here are some of the strategies that when we went back to our various institutions after the training, we were able to adapt some, and some too, we are still on it. Please, the next slide. All right, so the first one, we use the various communication channels we have in our various institutions. And one was our WhatsApp platforms that we have. So as ambassadors, after the training, we had something in mind like Canva. we could design anything that portrays the information of e-learning to our institution or our various students there who have no idea about what we gain here. So with that, we're able to communicate something to them about the knowledge that we gain here. And some of them were the PowerPoint my colleague mentioned. So the next thing too we used was technology integration. We were able to use the various technological knowledge we have gained to impact something in them. So in some of the nursing institutions, we have Ofeso Nursing College as an example. One of my colleagues was able to take her class through some of the interesting ways of learning so that it shouldn't always be like we are always learning, we'll sit from 7 to 5 and the whole class will be very boring. So she was able to introduce Kahoot, which we were taking through when we came for the training to her class, that it made the teaching very interesting. And the next thing was resource creation. So resource creation, when we went back into our various institutions, we were able to meet our IT personnel there together with our leaders in our various institutions to assist us to gather the various resources that we need as ambassadors in order to transform or the people that are there that don't have the knowledge that we gain here. The next thing that we are still working to use is patience, because training people to gain what you have gained is not something easy. So we want to adapt patience as ambassadors so that we can help our colleagues who have little knowledge about e-learning or the tools that we have learned here, how to use them effectively in our various institutions. When we go back into our SUS or when we went there, there are some of the tools that even Zoom, common Zoom, some of us were not able to use it effectively. But when we went there, we were able to enlighten them more about the knowledge that we gained. They were able to join other classes that they were that we were taking through. The next thing is persistence. And as ambassadors, when we came for the training, we learned that we shouldn't give up on anything that we want to achieve. So we are persistent. We want to help our colleagues to also be like us. The knowledge that we have gained, we don't want to be selfish by having it alone. We want to also help our colleagues to be transformed by knowing how e-learning is advancing itself and how it's learning us to learn easily and effectively wherever that we find ourselves. Please, the next slide. So here are some of the benefits. To read the students, it increased flexibility and accessibility to learning. When I say this, I know most of us here are students and we understand what it is. Without e-learning, there is no way you can do certain things. You will not be able to do it easily. You'll be stranded at times. And the next thing is personalized learning experience. My colleague mentioned it earlier on, that with e-learning or Zoom, some of us, we are shy and in class, we are not able to contribute. But with the Zoom, when we are even in our various homes or wherever we find ourselves, we can contribute without showing our faces. And no one will know whoever that is this person. You can do it confidently. The next one too is it add value to read the students. There are certain things at first you never had idea about, but through e-learning, you can do it confidently. Please, the next slide. So to the faculty, it improved efficiency in course delivery. I know our various tutors here can testify to this. Then this one is opportunity to reach a wider audience. Yes, so this is an example. So to the institution, cost saving. We, the nursing students, we understand that in our various institutions, we buy a lot of handouts, a lot. Everything you have to buy. But with e-learning, if we have the slides on our phone, I don't think there will be a need for handout buying, and it will cut down costs, not only for we, the student, but to the institution as a whole. It will enhance reputation for innovation and education. Please, the next slide. So the progress of these initiatives will be measured through, one, increased number of workshop participants. So the next one, too, is student satisfaction. The next point is rate at which people visit the nurse. When I talk about increased number of workshop participants, we are inspiring of training people to also know more about what we have learned. So how are we going to measure what we have done, whether it's effective or not? When we group few number of people and we take them through the training, the next time when we call for meeting or other thing, we expect that the number should be greater than, because the knowledge that they gain, when they go back, they should also be able to transform others with what they have learned. Please, the next slide. So with this, I'll let my colleague continue.
In conclusion, through the advancement of technology, e-learning has improved general teaching and learning experience. And as ambassadors, it is through our efforts that will drive our institutions at the pace at which these advancements are growing, through initiatives such as advocacy, collaboration, and leading by example. Learning from a distance is not just a trend, but revolution in education, allowing everyone to access knowledge wherever they are. Après à distance n'est pas simplement une tendance, mais révolution dans l'éducation, permettant à chacun d'accéder au savoir, où qu'il soit. Merci.
Please, can you come back to the previous slides for us? The previous one. So as our motto says, impacting to transform our life and the lives of others. So we came here, we were able to, get some knowledge, but we went back to our school. So we had to impact what we've learned to our students over there. I'm a teacher trainee from Wesley Campus. And luckily for me, we went back to school and our teachers decided to embark on strike. So I and my colleagues, we said, carpe diem, we grasped the opportunities. Even though no students are on campus, we decided to create a website which we called it the Gnosis. We coined from a Greek word which means knowledge, yeah? So the website is basically a site that we've uploaded the various PDFs of the course that we offer from level 100 to level 400, and each under their various courses. So if, for example, you're a mathematics student, you go to the site, you will find a mathematics section, enter, whether you are in level 100 or 200, you will find your slides over there. Thank you.
One of the life gratification that an individual never forgets is driving a positive impact in this life. And we say e-learning ambassadors imparting to transform our lives and the lives of others. Thank you.
E-learning. And you guys all witnessed how interesting it was, right? Yes. We learned how to, insert
a round of applause for our students. We would like to welcome Professor Eric Asante to give us some background to what the students presented. A round of applause for him.
Good morning once again. So in our bid to ensure that the end users benefit from what we are doing, I mean, we're talking of progress, challenges, and prospects. We cannot achieve a successful e-learning without the students in focus. And so we have been very intentional about training students. And this is an initiative of the MasterCard Foundation e-learning initiative. MasterCard Foundation e-learning initiative. So just recently we brought together students from our institution here and then also others from our affiliate nursing colleges of education and nursing training colleges and then colleges of education in Ghana from all walks of the country. And they got trained in content, how to access content in the e-learning space, how to learn online. The psychology of learning online is a big deal. It's not just a matter of signing up to Zoom and then getting the knowledge, but it's a big deal, as we all agree. So we walk them through these areas, through the dynamics of creating content for themselves. As Avi said this morning, we need to ensure that co-creation is done even with students as well. And I think our keynote speaker indicated that yesterday, Colin indicated that as well. So it was to bring them together to learn hands-on. This was a 2 weeks in-person training, brought all of them together under one roof, trained them on the dynamics of learning online. And in the end, we gave them a reason to compete amongst themselves. They had groups of 11, and each of them had a project. Their project was that as you leave, we are training you as e-learning student ambassadors. When you leave the training, what are you going to do in your school? What change are you going to bring? And these people brought a very innovative project, and we crowned them the winners of that training. You want to clap for them? We crowned them the winners. And so as a way of showcasing what they have done, that is just a brief of what they could do. And the MasterCard Foundation e-learning initiative has offered them some awards as well. And we are glad that they are ambassadors to this whole e-learning initiative. Let's clap for them once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Asante. So learning is so important that you can learn anywhere, any place, at any time. Even machines are now learning. They call it machine learning. And they are trying to mimic human intelligence. They call it artificial intelligence. But now we've come to realize that we can co-create learning through a successful human-machine interaction. Thank you so much. It's just a click away. Next on our program, we're going to take an in-person presentation on innovative pedagogies for e-learning excellence, lessons from TETL. A short profile on our presenter. Our presenter is an accomplished education and development consultant with over 30 years of experience across Sub-Saharan Africa and Europe. He's the managing director of TeachAid Consulting Limited, a UK-based consultancy firm. Currently, he serves as the principal technical advisor for Transforming Teacher Education and Learning Project, TETL, focusing on leadership, digital literacy, institutional development, and secondary education. He has played a pivotal role in educational reforms in Ghana, leading the introduction of standard-based curriculum at pre-tertiary level and developing the primary school standard-based curriculum. He has also contributed to the international projects such as leading the Innovative Pedagogies project in Ghana, Rwanda, and KNUST. He has a long profile. Ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's welcome Dr. Sam Awuku.
Good morning, colleagues. I think yesterday a lot of protocols were established, and I'll just try and stand on those and then continue my presentation. Is that okay? Great. So I'm representing TETL. TETL is Transforming Teaching, Education, and Learning. But before we came to TETL being Transforming Teaching, Education, and Learning, it used to be Transforming Teacher Education and Learning. The acronym remained the same, TETL. The presentation this morning will be our lived experience during our time when we were called Transforming Teacher Education and Learning. And then when I start presenting, I will also briefly talk about the current name, Transforming Teaching, Education, and Learning, which is actually a non-governmental organization. We celebrated our 4th year just this weekend, 7th of July. So we are 4 years old. Won't you say happy birthday to me? Right. So the presentation will take this format. I will try as much as possible to stick within the 30 minutes time slot. If I'm going beyond that, I have 2 people who will signal me, actually 3 people. I have Professor Pierre and Lawrence over there, and Edmond, they will signal me. So each of them have 10 minutes to tell me 10 minutes is gone, 20 minutes is gone, 30 minutes is gone. Friends, as I said earlier, it's a great pleasure for me to be here I will give a bit of a background about TETL, then briefly about the problem that what we did sought to resolve. And then, since the topic talk about innovative pedagogies, we'll try to share with you our operational definition of innovative pedagogies. You also mentioned excellence. Excellence is too difficult for me to define or explain, but then whatever we've done, when we finish presenting, you can tell us what it is and how that will contribute to the work that you are doing, which is great. I think there were some other universities that started e-learning, but what you are doing, I think you've moved it to different level. I don't want to say anything this morning to get in trouble with colleagues from other universities. I can see my friend Professor Apawu there. I'm not comparing universities, but I think you have elevated and amplified the whole discourse about e-learning, which is really, really good. Then I will talk about impact assessment as a project. At the end of it, we did external evaluation, a sponsorship from EduTech from UK. They did an impact assessment of the project at the end of the day. I will share the outcome with you. And then key lessons that we derive from there, and then finally, what policy implications we should be considering moving forward with e-learning in Ghana. So I talk about TETL, as I said earlier, is fully Ghanaian owned, and our focus basically is to provide high quality technical advice, project management, research implementation, support services, and the aim is to elevate education outcomes, education quality in this country. And since it's fully Ghanaian owned, we have tried as much as possible to use Ghanaian experts. To the extent that sometimes when donors come to us from other countries and we analyze and assess and see what they want to do, we tell them, take your money away. We don't want it. Because we believe we have a lot of experts in this country. Anamwa Mensah as the chair, Professor Champon is a board member, Professor Gate, that's a former vice chancellor of University of Cape Coast. So we have a group of renowned educationists and people from corporate world as well being part of the board who are directing the affairs of TETL. The vision is to transform education for development. It's as simple as that. So now that we know about TETL, I think I can confidently move on to talk about the problem that we intended to resolve. So we all know what happened. We've mentioned it here since yesterday when some of us arrived here, that COVID, nobody was expecting it. I remember vividly traveling from one college to the other. I went to Akrokere. On my way, I think I stayed at Noda. And that evening, there was an announcement that all schools were closed down. And we all know what happened next. But not long after that, there was an announcement that all tertiary education institutions need to provide learning for their students. And I'm sure you all agree with me that we want to prepare for it. Not a single one of us prepared for it. And I also remember very well that, colleges of education in Ghana are affiliated to universities. And each university got their own learning management system. I think here you have a V-class, and Legon got Sakai, and the rest got Moodle. But I don't know, Prof, whether they were being used to their optimal capacity. Few people were using it. So that became a problem for us we want to solve. How can we support our colleges of education, 46 of them, to continue to receive education? Those of us who are new to Ghana, you can see how our colleges spread all over. Can you see? This is not working, right? Right. So the blue dot shows where the colleges are located in the country. Everywhere. Now, quickly, when you see that, even if you're not from Ghana, and then you listen to the conversation from yesterday, one of the conclusions you will draw is there will be connectivity problem. Because we cannot have the same level of connectivity across the whole country. So that was a challenge that we face. And as some of you are aware, TETL, as an organization or as a project, we have never done anything of our own and say, TETL is doing this. Everything that we do for government. And that is one of our philosophy. So during that time, it was NCTE and NAB, that's National Accreditation Board. They've now gone into a beautiful marriage, and they have a new name called Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. Then, as Edmond mentioned that yesterday, right? That the executive secretary at the time called them and said, what can we do? What should we do? And I remember when the schools were closed down, I quickly ran away to where my wife and children are living. They're in the UK, so I ran away from the country before they closed the border. But the next call I received was that, Sam, we have set up a virtual learning task force, and you are going to lead it because that is your area. And I said, okay. Asamaba. Problem will come home. Because I'm there in the UK, and then we have colleagues, all of them are in Ghana. And we have not really used any video conference. Just Skype was around that time, but Skype was unreliable. So how can we really make this work? Long and short, we spent from March that year to April 27th, we had more than 80 hours of meeting via Zoom. I have to quickly sign up for Zoom, got the license, and then we meeting almost every day, planning. At the end of the day, we were able to run the program. Before I share with you the nitty-gritty of the program, how it was the intervention, let me take this time to just share with you our operational definition of innovative pedagogies. So when we talk of innovative pedagogy, we are referring to three things. The first one is that pedagogy needs to be inclusive. Inclusive to the extent that everyone needs to be part of the learning process. No one should be left behind. And if that needs to happen, then we need to assess the needs of every learner. So it means to roll out an intervention for the student teachers, we need to know their needs. But then the other problem too is that we also need to know the needs of the people who are going to provide the learning. That's the faculty. We also say that it must be engaging. So when the learners meet, whatever way they're going to meet, people in their homes, there must be interactivity. And if that happens, then we're sure that they will benefit from it. And then it must be adaptive. Adaptive in this case is making sure that whatever we are designing, we do not design it just anyhow. We have to adapt it or making sure that it meets the needs of the learners we have in mind. What that means is that we also need to engage the learners in the design of the program. So that was the complexity of the issue that we had at hand that we have to solve to make sure that all the over 78,000 student teachers in the country access learning. In 46 colleges of education spread all over the country with varied level of internet connectivity. I know there are some places they have to climb a tree to get internet connectivity. How can we ensure that we I have talked about all of this, and I've seen the time is fast spent. So I will move now to show you a documentary. And this documentary will give you a whole picture of the program itself. Then after that, I will share with you the learning that took place. Thank you. So whoever is controlling the documentary, I can't even see them, you know. It's a virtual reality. So it will be playing now. Thank you.
COVID-19 has disrupted education for millions of young people across the world. In Ghana, DFID is really proud to be supporting TTEL to work with all 46 public colleges of education and the universities they are affiliated with to continue virtual teaching and learning so that student teachers can finish their qualifications to be able to be ready to move into schools when they reopen.
The COVID-19 pandemic affected me as a teacher trainee when I was doing my internship. We had to halt everything and go back home.
Right about starting our second semester, the school management and then the educational authorities in the country made an arrangement that we take our lessons online.
Since I came to college, it has been a classroom-based learning. So if a teacher is supposed to demonstrate something, how are we supposed to know?
Having a virtual learning is not the same as having a face-to-face interactions with your tutors.
All you need.
Closed down, NCT, working with TTEL, set up a task force to look into how best we can continue to provide learning to our student teachers. The task force comprises of representatives from the National Council for Tertiary Education, the 5 universities, the Colleges of Education, Tutors Association, the CETAC, the non-teaching staff, and also technical staff from the Transforming Teacher Education program.
First of all, because the pandemic came when none of us actually prepared, when we decided to roll out the virtual learning system, we noticed that our tutors themselves were not in tune with how to deliver lectures online to students. Fortunately, TTEL supported us to have an online training with University of Amsterdam, where the tutors were taught how to teach, how to engage students, how to mark assignments, how to even communicate online to students.
We know professional development is one of the key things that is needed. So what we also did, supporting NCTE, is to provide colleges of education tutors, NCTE staff, and some technical staff from TETL to an award-bearing qualification that was provided by the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. And about 1,900 tutors benefited from this particular program. This created an awareness in our institution to know clearly how they can co-define, co-design, and implement the emergency remote teaching and learning.
Another thing we did was to ensure that the teacher always leaves the material for the student to come and have access to later, so that even when the concurrent teaching and learning is interrupted, the information can be accessed later and the students will still have benefited from that process.
There was no option for us than to find innovative ways to contact our students and to make sure that there was continuity in what we started with. And the commonest we had at the time was WhatsApp.
Well, with the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, our teaching and learning processes have changed.
After the Amsterdam training, I think I got empowered because I realized that we don't always have to be there with the students because the information will be online and anytime they come, they can actually take part in the lesson. So that worry was off. So it's important that whether it's online or face-to-face, you give off your best as a teacher. With the challenges that students had, basically had to do with internet connection. Some too were complaining that they don't have the device.
Fortunately, TETL and MasterCard Foundation came to our aid, providing us with smartphones and then SD cards.
Through the support of MasterCard Foundation in terms of funding and also with support from TETL, basically what we seek to do is to have an agenda no student is left behind. So NCT, with the support from TETL, has procured some SD cards, some mobile phone devices to assist the virtual learning process. So what we are doing is that we have about 4,750 SD cards and then 2,750 mobile phone devices. This is to aid the colleges to advance the virtual learning process, looking at the time that we are in.
I must admit, at the time COVID came and we had to resort to emergency remote teaching and learning, we didn't have the gadgets to connect to meet our clients, our students, our tutors, and others around. So we were using TurboNets, just 3 of them, and of course, the range was very limited until we got support from NCTE through TETL to extend our internet connectivity.
We need to ensure that almost everybody get access to the remote teaching and learning that was going on. We work with the universities, so the colleges of education combining the platform they have with the learning management systems that the universities have got. For example, Legon has got Sakara, University College of Education, Winneba got Moodle. We combine this. We then realize we got about 95% of the students actually registered to take part in the learning that was going on. Now, the whole thing, the whole approach to providing this emergency remote teaching and learning is informed by clearly we defining from the outset what we wanted to do.
If you want to get a flat belly at your
We scheduled the lessons accordingly.
It came back to management that some of the lectures will have to be delivered in the evenings and not in the morning, because once in the morning, not everybody is available. So we have had to take those steps to discuss with our tutors that please be very flexible to deliver the lectures at a point that most of them will be comfortable to be on board.
What we do here is to interpret all courses that hearing impairs.
Right, so thank you very much. If you want to get the rest of the info, go to YouTube, put TETL. Don't forget, sometimes you put TETL, you get telecommunication companies, right? But put TETL emergency remote teaching, you can get a full video. Or you go to TETL-TETL.org. Go to the website, you get more information over there. So as you have heard, clearly, you will notice a lot took place. Just pick two of them. One is about inclusion, ensuring that no child or no learner is left behind. Those in Accra, Kumasi, comfortable, they have internet connectivity. But when you go outside those areas, so one strategy is to get people who got featured phones. In Ghana, we call that YAM, right? They got YAM phone, they cannot connect, do anything with that. We got a smartphone for them, 4,750. The price at the time was around 1,200, 1,300 Ghana cedis. But they got it on high purchase for 600 cedis. And they paid to the college into a fund that the colleges created that will go supporting their internet connectivity. Before then, colleges that were struggling were given some amount of money to set up their connectivity. But how can they sustain it? To sustain it, we gave them the phone, and then they give it to the student on high purchase, and the money go into the pool to continue to support the connectivity in the school for teachers to be able to deliver their lesson. Some of them also got smartphones, but issue with connectivity. So they have the SD card loaded with all the content that the teachers were going to be delivering. So they have the smartphone with the content on it. With that internet, they could also access the learning. A site was created by NCTE that was zero rated. So yesterday, somebody mentioned zero rating at the Lawrence. Airtel, Tigo, MTN, Vodafone, these three main companies gave zero rating. So students access the site without paying for it. And that really helped. A year after, we had impact assessment done. The result is there. I don't have to go through them. You got to read it yourself. But clearly, you realize that we did not use the systems that the universities had. The module, the V-class, the Sakai. We went into something that the students already know. You know, we teachers, we start from where? Known to what? Unknown. They have WhatsApp, they'll be using to watch Nigerian movies. My friend from Nigeria, my family from Nigeria, what are you? Right. So they were watching Nigerian movies. Say, okay, can you spend some of that time to learn on Telegram, on WhatsApp? And it worked very well. So the platform that most of them were using was Telegram, right? 78% of them used that. You can see the breakdown over there. You can also see that those that you have to pay for, like Zoom, the usage is very low, right? The other thing is that students taking their examination online. I think yesterday in one of the presentations this was mentioned. taking examination online, how would that happen taking examination on WhatsApp, for example? Right? You got to be creative and innovative. And you got to put systems in place to know that the student did not cheat. Right? If you want to know all of those details, we can speak later. And then, I think when the keynote speaker spoke yesterday, talking about confidence in the system. So at the end of the day, students express the desire to continue with the online learning. They have confidence in that, 66% of them, and then 70% of them are actually independent learners. We talk about inclusion, right? Aside the smartphones, students, about 29 of them, have various needs. We have people who are visually impaired. We got them laptops, that's assisted. So it's an assisted device that they were also using to take part in the lesson. So inclusion was key. As Jacob mentioned in the video, it's agenda. Agenda what? Anybody heard it? Testing you? Agenda, leaving what? No one behind. Please, if you don't take anything from the presentation, keep that, take it with you. Agenda, leaving no one behind. Truly, as educators, in our classrooms, we are using differentiated approaches. We don't want anyone to be left behind receiving quality education. So when we move from the physical environment to the online environment, the same agenda, the same philosophy need to be guiding whatever we do. So with all of that learned, then what should be advice we give? We need to have a vision and strategy anytime we want to do online learning. It's not something that you start today and then it will materialize today. It takes time. So have a long-range vision and keep the strategy simple. So as I said, clearly with your stakeholders, what actually you want to achieve. Just as we did, collaborating with NAB and NCTE, bringing MasterCard Foundation, CETAG, the TAG, that's the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, they actually front
higher education. Thank you very much, Prof. It's actually an honor to interact with you. So being the General Secretary of ACU, work across a number of universities, I think you are the right person for us to talk to on partnerships and emerging trends. Now first, what do you think are the key drivers for the motivation of higher educations entering into collaborations and other international partnerships?
Okay, very good, interesting question. What makes a successful partnership? I think the number one has to be goodwill on both sides. You need to have both sides really wanting to do this. Any imbalance leads to difficulties. So I'd say that's the number one thing, is goodwill, high motivation on both sides. Now, where does that goodwill come from? It has to come from the leadership, but it also has to come from the people who do the actual work. So it needs to be top down and bottom up. You've got to have strong leadership on both sides for a partnership to work. So that's the second one, is leadership. The third point I would make is there must be mutual benefit. So both sides must benefit. If you have the flow, in a sense, only in one direction, it stops being a partnership. So we at the ACU, for example, have a toolkit for equitable research partnerships. And the idea is that if you have a partnership between a university in a high-income country and a university in a medium or low-income country, that actually that partnership is approached in a genuine spirit of equity, where there is genuine mutual benefit and mutual respect on both sides. So I think those three elements are critical: goodwill, leadership, and mutual benefit.
Okay, goodwill, leadership, and mutual benefit. So now, how should universities or higher education institutions, what should they do to enhance academic research reputation when they come into collaborations? How can academic research reputation be maintained in these partnerships?
Well, I think if really maintaining your research reputation within a partnership is no different, in a sense, from all kinds of academic activity. Very interestingly, just earlier on in one of the presentations, we saw a list of the qualities of academic integrity. And so long as you maintain those qualities, you know, of honesty, trust, and openness, and frankly, truthfulness and openness are really critical in all of this. And you have to accept the way that research. The other thing you should have in any partnership that's going to be successful is an agreed means of what to do when things go wrong. Yeah? So if there are concerns, if concerns do arise, how are they resolved? So it's really important in an academic collaboration to agree a means of resolution, whether you go to an external party or whether you have perhaps a special meeting that's convened, but recognizing that there can be concerns, there can be difficulties. I mean, I've experienced it myself many times because there's a lot at stake. You know, both sides are putting their reputation on the line, and it's really important to have an agreed means in advance of what do we do, how do we go about resolving conflicts if they arise.
So we should have conflict resolution strategies in place. Now, what are the emerging trends when it comes to collaborations and partnerships? What do you see as shaping the future of collaborations in terms of higher education?
What we're seeing more and more, especially since COVID, is transnational education, that type of collaboration. So where a university will deliver its programs in another country, almost always with a local partner. You know, you have to work with a local partner. Now, this has been the case for many years. When I started as a Vice-Chancellor in 2012, we were involved in various TNE ventures. but it is now becoming the major topic of conversation. At the Education World Forum held in May in London, I attended a number of meetings with Commonwealth governments. I attended one with the government of Nigeria, for example, where the main topic of conversation was TNE. And it now tends to be done more in a partnership and virtual form than necessarily building a campus in another country. So I think that really is going to be the future. The other big development are micro-credentials. So rather than saying we're going to offer a whole program for delivery with a partner, you're going to offer maybe a credit-bearing module as part of a bigger program, which then adds up through collaboration. Now, that's not an easy thing to do, but there's a lot of work going on in that area, and I think we'll see that developing certainly over the next decade. It's both private providers and governments and universities and organizations like the Commonwealth of Learning and the ACU are involved in that.
Okay, so there's the microcredits, the transnational collaboration, and then stakeholders coming together. So that means there definitely will be a role of technology. So what is your take on technology, digitalization, e-learning platforms? How are they going to facilitate collaborations in future?
Well, it's impossible to talk about this without talking about AI, isn't it? Because as we heard in two of the presentations that we've had on the future of AI, it is quite clear that AI is going to have to play a major role in this. But we've also heard about the imagination gap. You know, we've heard about the difficulty of predicting what it's going to look like. It's one of those technologies where you know it's going to change everything, but we just don't yet know how. So I think that will play a major role. But I was also struck by Sam's intervention just earlier, saying keep it simple. We mustn't get ahead of ourselves. You know, the technology is out there right now to deal with this. So the question is, how do you get people using the technology in the most effective and practical way? And certainly part of that is the co-creation, you know, with the users.
Okay, thank you very much. For the sake of our time, we want to wrap up, but I would like to ask one last question on Sustainable Development Goal 4. So it underscores the importance of education as a human right and a key driver of sustainable development. Now, how can international collaborations and partnerships help ensure this?
Oh, well, I think it's really critical because, and in fact, we're looking at this right now in the ACU. You need to get in a position for sustainable development to be a, you know, I mean, it's a reality now, but we want to, of course, take it forward. You need to make sure that people can continue learning throughout their life, because the world is changing around us. You know, the challenges of climate change and of the advance of technology are enormous, and they're changing all the time. So I think the key role education has to play is not just in primary, secondary, and tertiary, but it's in lifelong learning. And that's where things like micro-credentials and virtual programs and the ability to upskill people who are presently in perhaps middle management type positions who are actually dealing with what's going on the ground. That's a really critical part of it. So I'd say a simple answer to your question is lifelong learning through lifelong e-learning is going to be the solution.
On that note, we want to say a big thank you to Professor Ryden. We would love to ask a number of questions, but for the sake of our time, we want to appreciate your valuable insight. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our program, we want to welcome the chairman for the council. Please let's give it up for him as he takes his seat. So I want to welcome the chairman, Dr. Kojo Boakye-Boadu, for some few announcements.
Thank you, Professor. So we are breaking for snacks. We are breaking for snacks. We'll take our snacks where you picked them yesterday, the usual place. And right after that, we'll go into the breakout session. We are using the same rooms we used yesterday. The only change is that in room 1, where we had the Israeli innovation, today we'll be looking at innovative pedagogy and technology integration. So that is what will happen in that room. Room 1, if this is your first time coming, room 1 is also just behind this building. When you get there, you see a staircase, you climb to the second floor. So that is where room 1 is, the Great Hall Conference Room. Room 2 will continue to be the OGR boardroom, still in that block, but immediately you climb the stairs, the first floor will be room 2. We'll be looking at emerging trends and inclusivity in e-learning. And then room 3 would be this auditorium. It remains this auditorium. We are looking at policy, leadership, and professional development. And then room 4, we go to the library conference room to look at digitalization across disciplines and sectors. So ladies and gentlemen, please, we have 15 minutes for snacks. 15. We want to be very prompt with our time so that we can close very early today. So in the next 15 minutes, we'll get back to the breakout session. Thank you so much for coming. Shall we please rise for snacks? Our dignitaries, please, we are taking our snacks where we took them yesterday. So once you exit where the statues are, the ushers are there to attend to you.
Yeah.